All right, everybody, welcome back to the Coys Diesel Podcast. We're on episode 5, flying through here in December. We've touched on some turbos, the last 2 episodes, 3 and 4. Now we're going to turn attention to a specific issue around the Duramax, the 2011-2016 LML specifically, something that Coy's seeing, and we know a lot of you are driving out there, and it's becoming a consistent issue that he wanted to touch on. So, Coy, why don't you go ahead and just start us off, and let's get the audience kind of caught up on what we're going to be addressing today.
Right. All right. Well, basically what you're looking at here is you're looking at an overflow tank that goes, coolant overflow tank that goes on a 2011-2016 Duramax LML. Okay. We get a line of clients coming in saying, I'm losing coolant, I don't know where it's going. And I did see some in my passenger fender well. Well, when we get to that truck, what we find that this bottle is completely full. And what I want to show you today, so people understand how this bottle works, is this is actually a 2-part bottle. Okay, some trucks have just a reservoir and then an overflow tank. Well, this is your reservoir and your overflow tank. So, looking here, there's a line, there's a split in this tank. Okay, this side is where the normal coolant should be for everyday use. If you have an issue like a bag cap, or if you have an overpressure issue in your system like a blown head gasket or anything causing it to back pressure up, it's going to overflow into this side. So if you're adding coolant to this side of your tank and you're putting coolant in here, and as you drive it, it's coming over here, or when you're towing your boat or your tractor, every time it comes over here, you're lifting the heads off the truck. It's got a set of blown head gaskets, and a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, well, I don't have any water in my oil, I don't have any other signs. Well, on a diesel, you're not going to see, I've never seen water in the oil due to a blown head gasket on any diesel for that matter in my shop. And the reason being for that is diesel has a lot more compression than a gas engine. So when that head lifts and that compression comes up, instead of it going into the oil, it's going to go back into the coolant system, and when it does that, it overpressurizes and it shoots that coolant from the normal side that we talked about to the overflow side. Okay, and the coolant that you're seeing in your fender well is coming out the overflow here, which goes nowhere. It just flows out because there's never supposed to be that much coolant in this side. So that's the issue at hand, you know. So there is a fix. We do a lot of them. So when we work on these Duramaxes, we pull the cab off, and everything's quite easily to get with. And that's why I had these pumps up here. I'm sure you're wondering what we're doing with these pumps up here, okay? So when we do an LML head job, the first thing we tell the customer is ask them if their truck has been CP3 converted. And the reason why we ask this is, you know, obviously it makes us more money, but it's going to save you a lot of money, because when I do this job, I'm going to be right near your factory pump, which is the CP4, okay? And to do this job, normally if you just walked in the door and you didn't have any other issues, you're talking probably 14 to 16 hours labor depending on how your truck's set up, and that can be pretty expensive, okay? So if we're doing a head gasket job on your truck and you don't you still have your stock pump and you want to swap to the CP3, which is this pump, which saves your fuel system in the long run, you're going to spend a couple hours labor instead of 14 to 16 labor. So you're going to save a lot of money doing it that way. So that's a big saver. And if you hadn't watched our fuel system video, the CP4 is a problematic pump that when it blows, it shoots metal in the fuel system. We revert back to the older style pump that come on the earlier model Duramaxes, and this solves the issue. So potentially putting this on there could save you, you know, $12,000 in the future, because this pump conversion kit's about $2,200, something like that, in that avenue. And you know, if the fuel system fails, you're going to spend $10,000 to $12,000 depending on what setup you want. So this is going to save you a lot of money. And then while you're doing the head gasket job, you could do it also. So back to the head gasket job on the Duramax 11, I'll kind of walk you through how we do our process. We're going to pull the heads, we're going to inspect them, we're going to put them on a machine, we're going to check everything, check for cracks, check all that stuff. And then also what we're going to do here, we do in-house, we mill the heads, and we're going to mill them down. In most instances, I'd say in almost 99% of instances, we can fix them as long as the heads aren't cracked. We never have to cut too much, honestly. If we do, the good thing about a Duramax is there's different levels of gaskets. So as long as your truck didn't come with the thickest gaskets, we can add a thicker gasket so we can get our valve recession correct and all that will match up. That way we're not causing interference in the engine. So we have solutions, and also what we do when we go back is obviously we go back with ARP head studs because the factory head bolts obviously weren't strong enough, especially for you guys out there running a tune. It's going to happen. It happens on a stock setting, and it happens way more often on a tune setting. So if your truck's tuned and you own an LML, in the future, you're going to be probably looking at doing this job. So that's why I wanted to share it with you today.
And if you're looking right now to be buying a truck, like you're in the market, you just like the way it looks, it's a beautiful truck, you're not too experienced on, all the intricate parts that you were just explaining, what are some of the things to look at? Is it best just to get it in the shop to a guy like you and kind of have all this stuff evaluated before you make a purchase? Speak on that a little bit.
We always recommend a pre-purchase inspection. I'll tell you something that happens a lot of times. A customer will bring a truck in, say, I just bought this truck. Matter of fact, I got one here right now. They bought the truck, and the truck needs a transmission, it needs a fan clutch, it needs this, it needs that. I'm like, man, I feel bad for them because all they had to do is bring it into us, spend an hour and a half, 2 hours. We'll evaluate the whole truck and go front to back and tell you anything that's wrong with it. Then you can go back to whoever's selling it and negotiate that deal. If not, at least you can walk away from it. So you spend a couple $100 with me, and you walk away knowing that, hey, I got a good truck, or I got to walk away from this deal. I'm about to lose my butt on this.
It's not a fun experience.
So if you can't come to us and get your truck inspected, the things to look for, go run the heck out of that LML. And if they don't like it, don't buy it. But go run the heck out of it and make sure you're not getting any coolant on this side. A little bit will come in the bottom, but if it starts to rise up, you got a problem. And then, if you're not sure if your truck has a CP3, go look in the valley of the motor and shine a light down there. With the EGR coolers on there, it's going to be tight, but you should be able to see whether this solenoid and these heads right here are facing up, or you can see how this solenoid is on the backside. So you should be able to tell the difference between these two pumps, and that'll give you an idea if you've already got a truck that's CP3 converted. If you do, that's one less thing you don't have to spend money on, and that can assure you that you'll have a long-lasting fuel system.
That's exactly why I wanted to bring it up, because I knew you had something in the shop like that, and maybe just give everybody kind of a detailed look in it. Look, I'm a city slicker here. I just like the way the diesel trucks look, sound, and move, so Coy's my go-to guy. I know there's a lot of people out there like me, so we appreciate that information. Anything else you wanted to touch on the Duramax on this specific issue? Anything else that you forgot? Yeah,
one last thing. So another thing you could do that's very expensive while the cab's off, while you're doing a head gasket job, if your water pump's never been changed on a Duramax, that can be quite an expensive job. The part's not that expensive. The labor is about 4 times what the parts cost, maybe more.
Damn.
So you definitely want to change a water pump. People are thinking, oh man, this is a belt-driven water pump. How can it cost that much? It's not. It's gear-driven, okay? It mounts to the front cover on the engine. It's gear-driven, and it's a pain in the butt to change with the cab on. So if you got the cab off doing this job, I would highly suggest for the money, change the water pump. Shouldn't be, but maybe an extra hour, if that. Change the water pump, and you're good to go, because, like I said, it's all about bundling it up. I know it sucks to spend a lot of money, but if you can knock it all out at once, it's going to save you in the long run, because all these things on LML, unless it's bone stock and you've never tuned it and you drive like a pawpaw, is likely going to happen.
That's awesome. Well, hey, look, we wanted to touch on that topic, touch on that specific issue that we're seeing. If you have that issue or you're not sure, coysdiesel.com. Give Coy a call. He'll answer. He'll talk to you. 647-3699, right? 3699.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Get Coy on the phone. Instant message on Facebook. We've got our YouTube channel. Keep checking in with us. Don't try to do everything yourself if you can't. And subscribe to our channel. Check out all the problems we're touching on. And if you don't think you can do it on your own, get Coy on the phone. Talk to Coy, and he'll point you in the right direction. If you're far from here and you can't get your truck here, Coy has some people that he knows in other areas that he may be able to connect you with. Well, I think after everybody watches this, Coy, it'll be New Year, so it's going to be funny saying this, but we're going to say Merry Christmas to everybody watching.
Right.
Because by the time we drop it, it's going to be 2024. Right. I guess we all hope we make it in 2024. So we're going to throw it up there and say we'll probably see you back in 2024. And well wishes to everybody. Merry Christmas, and y'all have a good holidays.
Yep, Merry Christmas, and catch us on Chat Path too on our website, or you can email us through the website. And I'm usually the guy that's going to respond to you, so don't be surprised.
Perfect.
Merry Christmas.
See y'all next time.